Hello, mighty companions. Hello, mighty companions. This is Earl Purdy. Hello, mighty companions. This is Earl Purdy. And I'm here to welcome you to the way of mastery. Hello, mighty companions. This is Earl Purdy, and I'm here on Facebook Live to welcome you to the way of mastery. We are going to be talking about allow all things. Our topic for today's class is allow all things. Allow all things. We're going to talk about allow all things in the way of transformation, in the way of mastery. It's on page 253. In the way of transformation, we're going to be on page 253, lesson 21. Allow all things on page 253 in the way of transformation. We're going to be talking about allow all things. Allow all things. Now, I want you to remember that you need not believe the ideas. You need not even accept the ideas. You need not even welcome the ideas. Earl Robin, welcome the ideas. You don't have to welcome the ideas. You don't have to believe the ideas. Some of the ideas you may actively resist. Some of the ideas you may find quite startling. You are not asked to judge the ideas at all. It's the use of the ideas that will give the ideas meaning to you and will show you that the ideas are true. We're going to be talking about allow all things. I'm so glad we're here live, because being here live, we get a chance to communicate with each other, and you get a chance to communicate with me. Please share this video. Please take a moment to share this video, this presentation on your timeline. We're on the Earl Purdy page. Please follow this page and like this page so that we can have more and more mighty companions that join us. Allow all things. So what is it telling us? It says, become willing to be one who cultivates the ability to allow all things. So what are we trying to do? You're trying to cultivate the ability to allow all things. The mind that is free can do this. What is it that a mind that's free can do? Do you know that the mind that is free is a mind that has the ability to allow all things? Do you know that the mind that is imprisoned is a mind that cannot allow all things? So how do you know if your mind is imprisoned, it will not be able to allow all things? For the mind that is imprisoned because it insists that what it perceives should become different in itself, but that the perceiver need not change. And that is the very essence of imprisonment. Now remember, my purpose with the way of mastery is to bring the way of mastery to life, for us to actually hear what it's saying together and really get the juice out of it and the message out of it. We're not here to analyze, we're not here to fix, we're not here to have a therapy session. What we want to do is get clear about what is it that Yeshua is telling us. So Yeshua is telling us that the mind that is imprisoned is the mind that believes that everybody needs to change, is the mind that believes that everybody else's mind needs to change. So do you know that if you believe that everybody else needs to change except you, then that means your mind is imprisoned. We're on page 253 in the way of transformation. Allow all things. So what is the very essence of imprisonment? The very essence of imprisonment is for you to believe that everybody else needs to change except you. Everybody else's mind needs to change except yours. And also, a mind that is imprisoned is a mind that does not allow all things. That's an imprisoned mind. An imprisoned mind is a mind that doesn't allow all things. Do you know that one who cultivates the ability to allow is cultivating in truth the very act of forgiveness? So what is the very act of forgiveness? The very act of forgiveness is to have the ability to allow all things. So forgiveness and to cultivate the ability to forgive is to cultivate the ability to allow all things. It says it is releasing the world from its insistence that its perceptions be held as right. So a person who is forgiving is a person who has let go of the need to be right all the time. In order to be a forgiving person, you have to let go of the need to be right all the time. If you want to be forgiving, let go of the need to be right all the time. If you really want to be forgiving, let go of the need to be right all the time. It is releasing from itself the need to hold on to its perceptions. So what does that mean? You're willing to let go of your way of looking at things. You're willing to let go of your need to be right. Be willing to let go of your need to be right. If you want to cultivate the ability to forgive, you have to let go of the need to be right. Therefore, allow all things. Allow all things. Trust all things. Trust all things. Trust all things. And thereby embrace and transcend all things. So how does one embrace and transcend all things? How do you embrace all things? How do you transcend all things? You trust all things. You also allow all things. You let go of your need to be right. You be willing to let go of your way of seeing things. That's the act of forgiveness. So forgiving someone doesn't have anything to do with trying to overlook what you think they've done to you. According to the way of mastery, to forgive is to cultivate the ability to allow all things. Forgiveness is letting go of your need to be right. Forgiveness is trusting all things. And when you trust all things and allow all things, you will embrace all things, and then you will transcend all things. Now remember what you want to do. What you want to do, as much as you can during the way of mastery, is let go of what you think you know. Be willing to go into an I don't know place. Be willing to let go of what you think is true and the way that you've learned to see things. And what you want to do is you want to see if you can hear what Yeshua is saying to us. Not what we have think, but let's see if we can hear what the way of master is telling us. It says that allowance follows on the heels of desire. For when you desire the kingdom, when you desire truth, when you desire love, above all things. When you desire truth, the kingdom, and love before everything, it says you have no choice but to discover that you must allow the world to be as the world is. Okay, on your spiritual path right now, you've reached a certain very powerful stage. And the powerful stage that you are at is that you're at the stage where you must allow the world to be as the world is. A very important spiritual stage is for a person to allow the world to be as the world is. So tell yourself, I allow the world to be as the world is. I allow the world to be as the world is. I allow the world to be as the world is. Tell yourself that right now. Say it with me. I allow the world to be as the world is. And then you take a very deep breath and tell yourself, I allow the world to be as the world is. That is how you move in the direction of forgiveness. Because you have not known how the world is. You have only known your perception of the world. You don't know how the world really is. Do you know that you don't really know how the world really is? Do you realize that you only know your perception of the world? When you say you know how someone is, you're just saying, I know my perception of how someone is. You don't really know your mother. You just know your perception of your mother. You don't really know your father. You just know your perception of your father. You do not know your siblings. You just know your perception of your siblings. You do not know your co-workers. You just know your perception of your co-workers. You do not know your true financial situation. You just know your perception of your financial situation. You do not even know yourself. You just know your perception of yourself. You do not know God. You just know your perception of God. You have only known your perception of it. But the Comforter, God within you, the Holy Spirit, your higher self, will heal those perceptions. Love will heal your perceptions. The Comforter will heal your perceptions. Allow God to heal your perceptions, which is the same as saying, allow God to heal your interpretations. Perception is interpretation. Your perceptions are your interpretations. Perceptions are interpretations. So, you don't really see me, you just see your interpretation of me. You just see your perception of me. You don't know me. You just know your perception of me. I don't know you. I just know my perception of you. So what you want to do, you want to take the opportunity to let yourself listen to what the Way of Mastery is saying. Still your ego mind. Quiet your ego mind. Quiet your analytical questioning mind just for a little while. You can go back to worrying and being upset if you choose to. You can go back to doing that later. But right now, you need to recognize that you don't know the world. It says right here in the 4th paragraph, for you have not known how the world is. You have only known your perceptions of it. But the Comforter, the Holy Spirit, will heal those perceptions. But what does it take to heal your perceptions? What does it take? Listen now. What does it take to heal your perceptions? What does it take to heal your perceptions? Healing your perceptions requires your little willingness. Healing your perceptions require a little willingness to let your perceptions be changed. You have to have a little willingness to let your perceptions be changed. I have a little willingness to let my perceptions be changed. I have a little willingness to let my perceptions be changed. Say it to yourself. I have a little willingness to let my perceptions be changed. I have a little willingness to let my perceptions be changed. I have a little willingness to let my perceptions be changed. Have a little willingness, just a little willingness to let your perceptions be changed. So take a moment. This is an experience. Let's make this an experience. I have a little willingness to let my perceptions be changed. God, my higher power, I want to say to you right now, I have a little willingness to let my perceptions be changed. Claim it for yourself. Do you know what's going to happen as your perceptions have changed? Do you know what will happen as your perceptions have changed? As your perceptions are changed, the world will magically become a different place. Would you like your world to become a different place? Then allow your perceptions to be changed. That means allow your interpretations to be changed. Allow the meanings that you give things to be changed. Allow a new meaning to be given you for everything. As your perceptions are changed, the world magically becomes a different place. Do you know what happens? When your perceptions are truly changed, the world does become transparent and harmless. So how can you tell when you've let your perceptions be changed? The way you can tell when you've let your perceptions be changed is you will see the world as harmless. When you have a correct perception of the world, you will start to see the world as harmless. That's how you will know when you truly allowed God, higher power, to change your perceptions. When you have allowed the Holy Spirit to change your perceptions, you can tell it, because you will see the world as transparent and you will see the world as harmless. It's right here. It says, as they are changed, in paragraph 5 on page 253, it says, the world magically becomes a different place. It does become transparent and harmless. The world becomes virtually valueless, except for the value that the Comforter, the Creator, would give the world while the world lasts. So the only value in the world will be the value that God gives it, the value that love gives it. So you are my beloved friends, and my beloved friends, allowance is a process. Do you know that allowance is a process? Allowance is a process. What kind of process is allowance? Allowance is the process of letting go and trusting. So allow all things mean let go, let go, let go, let go, let go, and let God. Let go and let God. Did you hear me? I know you're thinking about this and thinking about that and worried about this and worried about that, concerned about this, concerned about that. Let go, mighty companion. Please let go and let God. Allowance is a process. Allowance is a process of letting go and trusting. Allowance is a process of saying, I wonder what it would be like to just let things be as they are. To just notice things and let things pass by. So what are we trying to do? You're just trying to let things be as they are. Notice them, but let them pass by. Let your friends be as they are. Let your relatives, your spouse, your mate, your boss, let everything, let it be as it is. Let them be as they are. You just notice it and let it pass by. Notice them and let them pass by. Do you know, have you noticed that we've covered about 6 paragraphs, and we have been given one instruction after another instruction after another instruction. The first thing you need to do is you need to let things be. Let people be. Let people be. Stop demanding that other people be the way you want them to be for your satisfaction. If you want everybody else to be the way you want them to be for your satisfaction, you're going to imprison yourself. That's the way of imprisonment. We were told that an imprisoned mind doesn't know how to just let things and people be. That an imprisoned mind always wants everything other than itself to change. You've got to allow the world to be as the world is, because you don't really know how the world is. I'm sorry, you really don't know how anything truly is. Why? Because you only know your perception of things. You only know the way you interpret things. You only know the meanings you give things. You only know the meanings you give people. You only know the interpretations that you give people. You don't really know anything. You don't really know what anything is truly for. You just know your interpretation of it. So it says, what you need to do is say to yourself, I wonder what it would be like to just let things be as they are. To notice them. I'm going to notice, but I'm going to let it pass by. So allowance, it says, allowance then is the doorway through which Christ passes into the complete remembrance of Christ. Allowance brings a deepening sense of freedom. Freedom from all circumstance. Allowance brings a deepening sense of freedom. So how can a person tell? How can a person tell if they are really beginning to flow with the idea of allowance? The way you can tell when you're really beginning to flow with the idea of allowance is you will feel a deepening sense of freedom. You will start to feel free from all limiting circumstances. You will begin to feel free. free from all circumstance. For it is your circumstances. Do you know that it is your circumstances that you have believed have power over you? When you're feeling true allowance, what is it that you feel? When you are experiencing true allowance, you feel a deepening sense of freedom. If you're not feeling a deepening sense of freedom from circumstances, then you are not practicing true allowance yet. Because when you're practicing true allowance, in other words, when you're letting God take over, when you're letting the Comforter take over, when you're letting the universe take over, you will know it, because you will be feeling a deepening sense of freedom from all limitation and all circumstance. It's your circumstances that you have believed have power over you. Your circumstance, that circumstance you're in right now, it doesn't have power over you. That circumstance, you know the circumstance that I'm talking about. Listen to me. This circumstance that you're dealing with, it doesn't have power over you. This circumstance that you're dealing with, it doesn't have power over you. No circumstance has power over you. You. There is no circumstance that has power over you. There is no circumstance that you are experiencing right now. It has no power over you unless you believe it has power over you. But as you choose to relinquish, your perception of the world, as you choose to relinquish your perception of this circumstance or any circumstance, you discover something. What is it that you discover? That you are already abiding in freedom. If you are willing to let go of your need to be right, if you are willing to relinquish your perception of this circumstance, you're going to make a powerful discovery. And that powerful discovery is this. You're going to discover that you are already living in freedom. You are already free. The power, and that is what freedom is. Do you know that freedom is power? The power to do what? Freedom is the power to create differently. Freedom is the power to create differently. You abide in freedom. Do you know what that means now? You have the power. That means you have the freedom. You have the freedom to create things differently. You are a child of God. You are a powerful creator. You have freedom. Listen to me now. You have freedom, because freedom is the power to create differently. So you abide in freedom right now. And To create is the effect of what you will choose to see. To create is the effect of what you will choose to see. You will create what you choose to see. You will create what you choose to see. You have power. What is that power? That power is freedom. And what is the freedom that you have? You have the freedom and the power to create differently. So choose to let go of your perception of this situation that's challenging you. If you see yourself in some area of your life having a challenge right now, as you choose to relinquish your perception of that circumstance, you will discover that you are already living in freedom and that you have power, and that power is freedom. Power is the freedom to create differently. That's your power. You are free. You are free to create differently. So what is allowance? Allowance can be thought of as a resistance being melted from your nervous system. And your nervous system is just an aspect of your mind anyway. So what is allowance? Allowance is like the opening of the palm of your hands. Instead of holding on so tightly, you simply let go. Instead of holding on so tightly, you simply let go. Instead of holding on so tightly, you simply let go. Instead of holding on so tightly, you simply let go. Simply let go. Simply let go. Instead of holding on so tightly, simply let go. Let go. Instead of holding on so tightly. What do? You simply let go. Let go. Let go. Allowance, instead of holding on so tightly to this relationship, you know who I'm talking to. Instead of holding on so tightly to that relationship, simply let go. Instead of holding on so tightly to this circumstance, let go. What do you let go of? What is it that you are going to let go of? Let go of the habit of the need to be right. What do you let go of? Your need to be right. Let go of your need to be right. Let go of your need to be right. Let go of your need to be right. In this situation, let go of your need to be right. In this circumstance, let go of your need to be right. In this relationship, let go of your need to be right. Let go of your need to be right. The habit of the need to perceive that the world is a fearful place. Let go of your need to see the world as a fearful place. Let go of your need to see the world as a fearful place. Stop needing to see the world as a frightening place. Let go of your need to see the world as a frightening place. What else do you need to let go of? Let go of the habit of seeing yourself as in any kind of lack. Let go of the need to see yourself as in lack. Stop seeing yourself as lacking anything. Let go of your need to see yourself as lacking anything. Do you know you need to let go of your need to see yourself as lacking anything? Let go of your habit of seeing Christ, your true self, your divine self, Stop seeing the Christ in you, the love in you, the truth in you, the God in you as being far from you. Your true self, your real self, your Christ self, your loved self. Stop having a need to think of that as something far from you. Anything that is unlike the kingdom of heaven, which is our reality, is a habit well worth releasing. How do you release that habit of experiencing anything that is unlike love? By allowing it to be dissolved from your mind. So how do you allow things to be dissolved from your mind? We're going to get into that. So right now, I'm going to give you an opportunity to ask any questions around what I've shared so far. And if it's a question, first just type a Q, the letter Q, so that I can quickly glance and be able to tell a question from a comment. So if you have any questions about anything that I've said or shared, this is an opportunity. Jim says, Holy Spirit, I give to thee right now of my own free will and choosing. So Jim is giving it up. Diana says, I let go of my perceived need to see the world as a frightful place. Joanne says, I don't need to see the world as a frightening place. Arlene says, let go of my need to be right and I'll be happy and free. You're very welcome for this lesson. The power of the lesson is in your ability to hear it and remember it. So it says on page 254, the essence of this lesson is the cultivation of allowance. It begins with the willingness to relinquish the lid you have placed upon your own mind. So if you want to practice allowance, you have to let go of the lid that you put on your own mind, so that you become able in innocence. You become what? You have to become able in innocence to simply observe how it really is. What is really going on down in the basement. You got to be willing to look at what's really going on in your mind, Earl, without judgment, without fear, without justification, without explanation. It's simply there. I'll say it again. The essence of this lesson is the cultivation of allowance. It begins with the willingness to relinquish the lid you have placed upon your own mind, so that you become able in innocence, it says in innocence, to simply observe what? How it really is. What's really going on down in the basement of your mind. But you have to look at what's going on in the basement of your mind. You have to do it without judgment. You have to do it without fear, without justification, and without explanation. It's simply there. The cultivation of allowance will deepen a great deal if you will merely put the exercise that we began into practice. In allowance, you cultivate the very quality of forgiveness. So when do you cultivate the very quality of forgiveness? Without forgiveness, it is impossible to awaken into the realization of the truth that is true always. You'll never recognize the truth. A person will never recognize the truth without forgiveness. And forgiveness means correct perception. So without correct perception, without allowance, you will never recognize the truth without allowance. It says, because judgment is the opposite of the kingdom. Judgment is the opposite of truth. Judgment is the opposite of the kingdom. Where forgiveness is withheld, you are literally making a choice to be outside of the kingdom. When you withhold forgiveness, you are making the choice to be outside of love. Whenever a person holds a grievance, they're saying, I have a grievance. I'm choosing to stay outside of love. I have a grievance against you. I'm choosing to stay outside of abundance. I have a grievance against you. I'm choosing to stay outside of health. I have a grievance against you. I'm choosing to stay outside of peace. I have a grievance against you. I'm choosing to stay outside of love. I have a grievance against you. So whenever you hold a grievance, whenever you withhold forgiveness, you are choosing to stay outside of God. You're choosing to stay outside of safety. You're choosing to stay outside of love. It says it right here. Where forgiveness is withheld, you are literally making a choice to be outside the kingdom. You have used the power of the mind to make a decision. So you're using the power of your mind to make a decision out of a desire to hold on to a perception. And thereby you have generated direct experience. In other words, you are the one who has kicked yourself out of the garden of love and abundance. Nobody else. You are the one who has kicked yourself out of the happiness and the peace. Remember then that forgiveness, which is true perception, which is allowing all things, is essential. So forgiveness, which is the same as allowing all things, is essential. That means it is necessary for the atonement. What's necessary for your healing is allowance and forgiveness. Forgiveness is another word for allowance. It says on page 254, paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, forgiveness is another word for allowance. I forgive you, I allow you. I forgive you, I allow you to be. I forgive you, I allow you to be who you are. I forgive you, I allow you to be who you are. That's what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is allowance. We speak here we're not talking about a blind passivity. We're talking about a relinquishment. We're talking about a relinquishment within your own mind. And that's all we're talking about. Letting go of the need to be right. Letting go of the need to control others. Letting go of the need to project. Letting go of the need to see yourself as a victim. Letting go of the idea that you are not free. We're talking about relinquishment within your own mind, and that's all. We're talking about a change within your mind. That's all. It is a willingness to see the complete neutrality of all events. So, forgiveness is the willingness to go, all things are neutral. I give everything I see all the meaning that it has for me. All things are neutral, but I give everything I see all the meaning that it has for me. All things are neutral. All things are neutral, but I give everything I see all the meaning that it has for me. So forgiveness is a willingness to let the Comforter remind you that separation does not exist. You are not separate from God. You are not different from God. You are not separate from love. You are not different from love. You are not separate from God. You are not disconnected from your Creator. You are not disconnected from your Creator. Forgiveness is you recognizing that you are not separate, you are not different, you are not disconnected from your Creator. It is a willingness to let the Comforter remind you that separation does not exist, that you cannot possibly make yourself guilty of sin and all the rest. You can never make yourself guilty. You can never make yourself guilty of sin. You are not a sinner. 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 There is no such thing as sin. You are not a sinner, and there's no such thing as sin. You are not a sinner, and there is no such thing as sin. Sin doesn't exist. You cannot possibly make yourself guilty because you are a child of love. You are a child of God. You can't possibly be guilty because you are a child of God. You cannot possibly be sinful because you are a child of God. You can't be sinful because you are a child of God. So what is forgiveness? Forgiveness is a relinquishment of what you have decided is true about the world. So when you say, I forgive the world, what are you saying? Well, when you say, I forgive the world, you are saying, I relinquish what I have decided is true about the world. I forgive the world. I relinquish what I have decided is true about the world. I forgive the world means I relinquish what I have decided is true about the world. When you say you forgive someone, you're saying, I relinquish what I have decided is true about you. I forgive you. I relinquish what I have decided is true about you. I forgive you means I have relinquished what I have decided is true about the world. So forgiveness is a self-centered practice. Forgiveness is a self-centered practice. We're on page 254, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, paragraph 6 in the way of transformation, in the way of mastery. So listen to me now. I'm going to put a little juice in it for a minute. Right now, here we go. Forgiveness is a relinquishment of what you have decided is true about the world. Forgiveness is a self-centered practice. Forgiveness is a self-centered practice. Of yourself, you cannot forgive your brother or sister. Of yourself, you cannot forgive your brother or sister for anything. You know why? Because in reality, they have done nothing. In reality, your brother and sister have done nothing to you. In reality, your brother and sister has done nothing to you. Forgiveness is forgiveness of one's self. Forgiveness is forgiveness of yourself, Forgiveness is a forgiveness of yourself. True forgiveness is a forgiveness of yourself. True forgiveness is a forgiveness of yourself. Forgiveness is forgiveness of oneself for what? Facing reality with your own version of it. Forgive yourself for trying to replace the truth with your own version of the truth. There is no such thing as you having your truth. There is no such thing as me having my truth. That's a completely fallacious idea that everyone has their own truth. We all have our own way of getting to the truth. We all have our individual paths, but you don't have your own truth, and I don't have my own truth. Of course, it says forgiveness is forgiveness of one's self for insisting on replacing reality with your own version of reality. Stop insisting on replacing the truth with your own version of the truth. That's what forgiveness is. Allowance is like the petals of a flower, opening to embrace the new dawn of a spring day. Allowance is like the melting of the ice that allows the river to flow. Allowance is like the removing of a cap from a bottle of sweet fragrance and enjoying it as deeply as you can. Allowance is the dissolution of fear. Allowance is the dissolution of fear. Allowance is transformation. So when you allow, let go of your need to be right. 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 Allowance is transformation. Allowance is transformation. Allowance is transformation. Allowance is transformation. So on page 254 in The Way of Mastery, part 2, The Way of Transformation, page 254 says, when you have come to allow all things, when you have come to trust all things, you will have embraced all things. So how do you know when you have embraced all things? When you allow all things, when you trust all things, you will have embraced all things. So if you don't allow all things, if you don't trust all things, if you don't allow all things, if you don't trust all things, if you don't allow all things, if you don't trust all things, you have not embraced all things. Only that one who is larger than the thing that is embraced can do the embracing. Only the one who is larger than the thing being embraced can do the embracing. So for you to embrace something, you've got to be bigger than it. For me to truly embrace you, I've got to be bigger than you. So to embrace something, you've got to be bigger than it. To embrace something, you've got to be bigger than it. Therefore, whenever you feel imprisoned, listen to me now, listen to me now. Whenever you feel imprisoned, whenever you feel imprisoned, it is because you have made yourself smaller than the world you perceive. Whenever you feel imprisoned, you have made yourself smaller than what you are looking at. If you feel imprisoned by a problem, you are seeing yourself as smaller than the problem. If you see yourself as imprisoned by a circumstance, it's because you see yourself as smaller than that circumstance. If you see yourself as imprisoned by a person, it's because you see yourself as smaller than that person. Whenever you feel imprisoned, it is because you have made yourself smaller than the world you perceive. And when you feel free, when you feel free, do you know why? When a person feels free, it's because they have remembered that they are the one from which all things have arisen. So, what do you do if you want to feel free? What do you do if you want to feel free? You have to remember that everything that you are experiencing is coming from you. Everything that you experience is coming from you. When you finally feel free, you will feel like everything that's happening to you is coming from you. When you really feel free, when you really know you are free, you will know that all things have arisen from you. You are the Son of God. You are the child of God. You are the offspring of God. You are the extension of God. You are the child of God. You are the child of love. You are the child of God. You are the vast sky in which all the clouds and storms arise and pass away, while the sky remains unscathed and eternally changeless. Now that, my friend, is freedom. And the cultivation of freedom is a free will choice. Whether or not you cultivate freedom in your life, that choice is up to you. That choice is up to you. It is the result of the desire for the kingdom. Freedom is the result of the desire for the kingdom. The kingdom is love. The kingdom is reality. So freedom comes from the desire for what's real. True freedom comes from the desire for what is the kingdom, for what is real. So, if there are any questions about anything that I've covered so far, ask the question, put a Q first so I'll be able to tell, and then I'll respond. Some of the comments are, Diana says, I am the innocent child of God. CJ says, free the Pope. And I guess she's talking about Jim Pope. Kim says, I'm taking 100% responsibility for everything that is happening in my life right now. Well, Kim, that means you truly want freedom. Demola says, this stuff is so powerful. That's right, Demola. It's totally powerful. Kathy says, turn up the juice. Yes, that's what we want to do. Question, why do I keep wanting the fear and not choosing to let it be? Jim, you know the answer to that question. You know that that part of you that does not choose for peace is your ego, that it is just the part of you that wants to be separate from God. It's the part of you that wants to be right more than it wants to be happy. It's the part of you that thinks you're just a man, the part of you that believes you're guilty, the part of you that believes you're not enough, and all the programming that you've gotten from the world and given yourself. That is why there's a part of you that keeps wanting the fear and not choosing to let it all be. That's the part of your mind that wants to suffer, that thinks through suffering you will be absolved from what you think of as your sins. It is just your call for love. And I know you know that, and I know you've been listening to the truth long enough to know that it's just the ego. And it is just the perception that you're giving things. And through this, you're getting a brand new perception. You are powerful. You are the child of God. And Diana says, I truly appreciate this time-saving opportunity. And Arlene says, this is a juicy jam session. That's right. It is a juicy jam session because forgiveness is nothing but embracing all things, trusting all things. That's right. This is your call for love. If you were to see all fear as a call for love, then love would come to you every time you are afraid. If you saw guilt as a call for love, then love would come to you every time you felt guilty. It's important to give new meanings, new interpretations in order to give yourself a new reflection. We cannot continue to use our old meanings and old interpretations and think we're going to experience the real world of love that the Way of Master is talking about. And each one of us has the ability to start reinterpreting everything we see and everything we feel. So, like Diana says, it's awesome. I've been really focusing on allowance the last few weeks, and it's really taken my love into hyperdrive. Focusing on allowance, it has allowed me to cultivate more and more freedom. So remember that guilt is a call for love. Anger is a call for love. Let go of your need to be right, and that is forgiveness. Recognize that you're only responding to how you see things and not to the actual thing itself. So that is awesome. That is awesome. As you come to truly forgive yourself for every perception that you've ever held about anyone or anything, you will come to discover that it means relinquishing perceptions of yourself as well. You've got to forgive yourself. You've got to let go of your perceptions of yourself that are not loving also. For you cannot awaken fully. You cannot awaken fully unless you include yourself in the circle of forgiveness. If you don't include yourself in the circle of forgiveness, you can't fully awaken to your true identity if you don't include yourself in the forgiveness. Ultimately, of course, you come to see that the very practice of allowance, do you know that the very practice of allowance is really the act of allowing yourself, allow yourself to be truly the self that you are? I say the very practice of allowance is really the act of allowing yourself to be truly the self that you are. You will no longer resist the process of purification. Tell yourself, I no longer resist the process of purification. I no longer resist the process of purification. I no longer resist the process of purification by whatever means the Comforter uses for me. It doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter anymore how God heals me. I'm not telling God how to reach me. I'm not telling God how to heal me. I'm not telling God what I think I need to be happy. I want God to comfort me, heal me, purify me in whatever way God sees best. So let go of your conditions for what you think and how you think the universe is supposed to heal you. You do not know your own best interests. So you want to stop resisting the process of purification. And how do you do that? You do that by allowing Spirit to heal you in whatever way Spirit wants to use to heal you. It simply doesn't matter anymore. Why resist it? All I want is God. Say that. All I want is God. All I want is God. Say it with me. All I want is God. Let's say it, you all. All I want is God. I can hear you. All I want is God. That's the same as saying, all I want is love. Claim it. All I want is love. All I want is love. All I want is love. What about freedom? All I want is freedom. All I want is freedom. All I want is God. All I want is God. If it is dissolved in the mind in a split second and you don't even notice it, fine. If your letting go of resistance requires great tears and great experiences, fine. What's the difference? It's all really the same. It's because you have relinquished. And how do you relinquish? You have relinquished through allowing ownership of your own pathway home. In other words, you have decided to let the Holy Spirit take you home. You have decided to let the Comforter take you home. You have decided to let the Creator take you home. You have decided to let love take you home. God, take me home. God, take me home. Our Creator, take us home. Our Comforter, take us home. Because you desire the kingdom above all else. Tell yourself, I desire love above all else. So it no longer matters how that process is experienced. I want to go to peace. I want to go to love. I want to go to truth. And it no longer matters to me how that happens. I'm not caught up in stop being caught up in the process. Just be willing to be healed. So what do? You let the Comforter take you by the hand. You let the Comforter retrace the steps you once made in error. Do you know that each step requires one thing? Each step requires allowance, which is forgiveness. Forgiveness is born of desire that has been purified of desire for that which imprisons. I no longer have a desire for what imprisons me. You no longer have a desire for what imprisons you. I desire to let go of anything that imprisons me. I desire to let go of anyone that imprisons me. Desire to let go of anything or anyone that imprisons you. So, if you let go of your desire to be limited, if you let go of your desire to be angry, fearful, or right, what desire are you going to replace that desire with? You're going to replace that desire with the desire for that which sets all things free. I desire 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 that which sets all things free. Now, once your desire begins and becomes the kingdom, the end of the journey is perfectly certain. Once your desire begins and becomes the kingdom, the end is perfectly certain. School is out. School is out. That which the ego is cannot last. The ego cannot last. That's the same as saying fear cannot last. That's the same as saying guilt cannot last. That's the same as saying lack cannot last. That's the same as saying sickness cannot last. For the very universe, creation, the world around you, everything will conspire. That means everything is going to breathe together. All things in your life will conspire together under the hand of the Holy Spirit. Everything is going to conspire to create precisely what you require to be set completely free of all illusions, problems, and fears. The very universe, creation, the world around you will conspire together under the hand of God to create precisely what you require to be set free of all illusions. And secretly, you will have already agreed with the Comforter that it will be this way. So, allowance is equally as important as desire. Allowance is as important as desire. Allowance is an aspect of the pathway, that foundation whereby Christ, the true self, remembers Christ, the true self. And your true self arises from the ego's ashes. Your true self is going to arise from the ashes of fear to walk upon this plane and any plane as the truth that is always true. So remember that it is only the ego that will compare. It is only the ego that will contrast. Comparison is an ego device. Comparison is a fear device. It is only the egoic mind. It is only the fear-based mind that's thinking about another's path. It's only the fear-based mind that wonders if perhaps somebody else's path. It's only your ego that would be wondering if somebody else's path was better than your path. There is only the life that you are directly experiencing. Listen, there is only the life that you are directly experiencing. There is only the life that you are directly experiencing. And through desire and allowance, that very life that is your life comes to be embraced as the very means. Your life is the very means. Your life is the very means by which God is dissolving illusion from your mind. I say, your life embraced is the very means by which the Comforter is dissolving illusion from your mind. Your life is healing you. Your life is being used to heal you. Your life right now, the life you're living right now, is being used to heal you. Your life is being used to heal you. Your life is being used by the Comforter, and it's dissolving illusion from your mind. Of course, do you know that of course it is all based on the humility of realizing that the ego, now listen to me, your ego cannot awaken itself. The ego cannot awaken itself. A fearful mind cannot awaken itself. A guilty mind cannot awaken itself. An angry mind cannot awaken itself. The ego cannot awaken itself. That's right, CJ. This fan-freaking-tastic life is being used to heal me and to wake me up. So, it is all based on the humility of realizing that the ego cannot awaken itself, that the Comforter, your Creator, God, is that agent. God is the agency that wakes you up. Love is the agency that wakes you up. Given by grace. Grace, God, your Comforter, not you, your Comforter knows how to bring you home. It is God that's going to do this, not you. It is your Comforter that's going to comfort you, not your ego, not the you that you think you are. It is the Creator. That's who's going to comfort you, and that is in you. That is a part of you. I'm going to do a quick recap. This has been very powerful. If you like to make a financial expression of appreciation for the classes that I present and am a channel of as a full-time teacher, I truly, truly would appreciate it. To make a financial expression of appreciation, go to www.earlpurdy.com. I am available for one-on-one personal consultation, mentoring, counseling sessions using my almost 40 years of working with New Thought, A Course in Miracles, The Way of Mastery, and my knowledge of sacred divine astrology and numerology. There is a blueprint for the intentions of your soul in coming into this life and this incarnation. You are not here by accident. There is an easier path through life available for you. Open yourself up to having a clarity session with me. Go to my website. You can self-book right online and find out and get more information about my clarity sessions. Please spread the word about watching these Facebook Live broadcasts. I appreciate that on the Earl Purdy page on Facebook. 7 p.m. Mountain Time on Tuesdays. 1 p.m. Mountain Time, Course in Miracles on Sunday. Hardcore Course in Miracles, 7 p.m. Mountain Time on Thursdays. You all are a total blessing, an incredible blessing. So this section was called Allow All Things. Why resist it? All I want is God. Sign up for the contact list, the mailing list. So I'm going to end this in a different way tonight. Thank you for Dana for recommending my sessions. Thank you so much. What I want you all to do is we're going to end this on a chant. The chant is going to be, all I want is God. Okay, everybody got that? Let's do that together. Let's feel each other. Kim, thank you for seeing me as a blessing. Thank you, Jim. Thank all of you for your love and your support. So what are we going to do? All I want is God. You ready? Here we go. Allow all things. Take a breath. All I want is God. That's what we're going to say. All I want is God. All I want is God. I don't hear you. All I want is God. Let's say it. All I want is God. All I want is God. I allow all things. All I want is God. I allow all things. All I want is God. Say it. All I want is God. Let's say it, you all. All I want is God. All I want is God. All I want is God. All we want is God. Let's say it. All we want is God. All we want is God. All we want is God. All I want is God. Allow all things. All I want is God. 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 All I want, that means, listen, all I want is love. 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 I allow all things. All I want is love. I allow all things. All I want is love. I allow all things. I allow all things. Want is love. All I want is love. All I want is love. Mighty companions, all I want is love. All you want is love. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of this fantastic Way of Mastery gathering. Thank you for the comments. I always read the comments. Thank you for interacting with your mighty companions. You are blessings. I love you. I appreciate you. And I will see you soon. See me for a clarity session. Let's go deep together. Mwah. Yes.